Number 9. St. James Davis. West Covina, California resident St. James Davis returned from a trip to Africa in 1967 with a baby chimpanzee named Mo. For the next 3 decades, he and his wife LaDonna raised the chimp in their home outside Los Angeles. They gave Mo his own room, dressed him up, and raised him as their own son. They taught him how to color, how to use a fork, and even the toilet. They took him everywhere, and the chimp became well known all over town. St. James and LaDonna said he was gentle and well-behaved, very affectionate, and the three became a close-knit family. However, when Mo was about 30, a series of unfortunate events changed their lives forever. A worker doing maintenance on Mo's cage accidentally gave him an electric shock and the chimp lost it. He ran outside, police came and barricaded the neighborhood, there was a standoff, he dented a police car and injured an officer's hand. The city began to investigate, not happy that they were harboring a wild animal. Then a visitor came over and stuck her finger in Mo's cage. Mo bit the tip of her finger off, and now city officials said that the mature ape was too dangerous to remain in their home. Mo was taken to a refuge for exotic animals, and court battles went on for years. The Davises were heartbroken, and so was Mo. They would visit him every week, where the depressed chimp would perk up when they came and they would play together all day. While visiting Mo for his birthday in 2005, the couple was attacked by a pair of large male chimpanzees who had somehow escaped their enclosures. They were about to have a picnic when the chimps charged, biting and attacking them. St. James tried to protect his wife, and the two chimps began ripping him apart. It was amazing that St. James survived. After being in a medically induced coma and undergoing many surgeries, the former athlete was left severely disfigured, wheelchair-bound, and unable to care for himself. He had a gaping hole in his face where his nose once was, a missing eye, and a permanently destroyed foot. Despite suffering from excruciating pain and enduring dozens of reconstructive surgeries, St. James and his wife resumed their visits to Mo, who was relocated to yet another sanctuary. In 2007, the couple faced another tragedy. Mo mysteriously disappeared from his cage, and workers said he was spotted jumping over the fence. To this day, he has never been found, despite an exhaustive search effort involving bloodhounds and helicopters. The Davises still hold on to the hope that they will see their boy again. Number 8. Roy Horn. Roy Horn, of the famous magician and entertainer duo Siegfried and Roy, never expected his 59th birthday celebration to go the way it did. As he performed in front of an audience of friends and fellow entertainers that evening on October 3, 2003, a nearly 400-pound white tiger named Manticore lunged at him and brutally mauled him, clamping Roy by the neck and dragging him off stage. After a pristine track record of over 400,000 shows without any animal-related conflicts, Roy was rushed to the hospital where he endured numerous surgeries. The attack left him with long-term difficulties walking and talking, and the duo's show was abruptly shut down. Accounts of what actually happened that night vary, with some claiming that Roy experienced a stroke and the tiger reacted instinctively in an attempt to protect him. Other reports claim that Roy was attacked after putting himself between the tiger and the audience after the animal began behaving strangely. In 2019, former trainer Chris Lawrence came forward with his version of events, claiming that the attack resulted from Roy not spending enough time with the tigers, treating them more like props than living beings. He told USA Today that he believed Roy was never appropriately held accountable for his role in the attack, and that he was comfortably shielded from the reality of the gruesome incident. We may never know the truth behind the attack, but the assault poses valid questions about whether it's appropriate to use tigers and other wild animals for entertainment. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're new to the channel, welcome! Give this video a thumbs up and click that subscribe button for more videos like these. Number 7. Attore Weber. During a training session in the town of Triggiano, Italy, 4 tigers fatally attacked 61-year-old tamer Ettore Weber. The tragedy occurred during a pre-show rehearsal for Circo Orfei, Italy's most famous circus. According to his assistant and widow, LaDonna Volcanelli, one of the animals, named Sultan, reportedly clawed his jugular vein, killing him within seconds. LaDonna begged authorities not to euthanize the tiger responsible for her husband's death. She said Weber had made a wrong move that triggered Sultan's violent reaction. During the act, his footing was off, and the misstep was enough to incite an aggressive reaction from the big cat. She also combated the rumors that the tigers played with her husband's body after mauling him to death, clarifying that 3 of the 4 felines fled in fear, while Sultan stood protectively over Weber's dead body as if he knew he had done something wrong and was reflecting upon his actions. Volcanelli did not blame the tigers one bit for her husband's death. The ordeal was nothing short of devastating for the widow, who told Quotidiano after burying his husband with his beloved taming whips, "It is a heartbreaking pain that I will never forget." Prior to the incident, the couple considered retiring, but decided to continue with their careers for 2 more years. But what's done was done, and Vulcanelli's only choice was to move forward from there. Police seized all 8 of her and Weber's tigers, but she fought tirelessly to prevent any of them, including Sultan, from being put down. Number 6. Valentin Bulich. Russian circus worker Valentin Bulich was determined to work with bears from a young age. One day in late 2020, the 28-year-old cage cleaner who had successfully interacted with cubs decided that he was ready to handle an adult bear. He stole the keys to a cage housing a massive 7-year-old brown bear named Yasha and locked himself inside with the beast, hoping that the two would find a, quote, common language with one another. Instead, Yasha mauled Bulich to death, scalping him in the process. Workers from the Great Moscow State Circus rushed to the cage, but by the time they got there, it was too late. Bulich was mortally wounded and died at the hospital shortly thereafter. Bulich's family and neighbors remembered him as a hard-working, kind man with a deep compassion for animals. While that all may be true, one thing is clear: he overestimated his abilities and grossly violated the circus's rules. Some animal rights campaigners argue that tragedies like this could be avoided if circuses were banned entirely, claiming that captivity and training make wild animals more prone to aggression. What do you think? Was this a one-off incident, or do activists have a valid point? Number 5. Marius Els. A South African farmer named Marius Els raised his pet hippopotamus, Humphrey, like a son after rescuing him from a river as a baby. The two were seen and photographed in close contact over the years, with Els even riding on Humphrey's back. But their closeness came at a cost, and in 2011, Els's dead body was found in a river in the country's Free State province where he lived. He was just 40 years old. Humphrey, who by then had grown to 2,000 pounds, had bitten his caretaker repeatedly and dragged him into the water. Els had claimed in a previous interview that although he knew what he was doing was, quote, a little bit dangerous, he trusted Humphrey entirely. He also wrote of naysayers as simply not understanding the special bond he and the hippo allegedly shared. As it turns out, unfortunately, Els was wrong, apparently overestimating his ability to domesticate a wild animal. Even his wife had grown concerned about Humphrey, according to a 2011 article in The Guardian, which also noted that the hippo had developed a history of aggressive behavior and that he had chased 2 people into a tree. Furthermore, the piece explained, hippos kill more humans than we tend to realize. With an ability to run at up to 30 miles per hour, these gargantuan beasts are powerful and fast, and are responsible for more human deaths than elephants and lions combined. Number 4. Saf Saf. Before the controversial Netflix documentary Tiger King came out in early 2020, many, if not most people, knew nothing of the gory incident when an employee at the infamous GW Exotic Animal Park in Oklahoma lost their arm to a tiger. Back in 2013, one of the big cats viciously mauled staff member Saf Saf as he moved them from one cage to another. He admittedly went against park protocol by reaching through an opening in a cage, setting off the violent attack, and was subsequently airlifted to a hospital. Doctors prevented Safri with 2 options. They could try to save his mangled forearm, which would require extensive medical care and ongoing therapy, or they could amputate the appendage. Determined to go back to work as soon as possible and avoid media scrutiny, Safri opted for amputation. He returned to his job just 11 days later, harboring no anger toward the tiger who bit him, and owning his role in the unfortunate event, stating to News 9, quote, "He didn't change anything that day, I did." To this day, Safri vehemently defends the park against negative publicity, accusing the press of wrongfully demonizing the tiger and the establishment based on his own wrongdoing. Number 3. Alexis Martinez. In recent years, the devastating effects of captivity on marine animals, including whales and dolphins, have increasingly fallen under public and media scrutiny. Attacks on handlers are commonly cited as examples of how confinement leads to aggression. One such encounter happened on Christmas Eve 2009 when a 6,600-pound orca named Keto killed his trainer Alexis Martinez at a marine park in the Canary Islands during a training session. In the months leading up to his death, Martinez became increasingly concerned about his safety and nearly left his job, according to his fiancée, Estefania Luis Rodriguez, who spoke with Outside Online after the tragedy. Martinez had confided in Rodriguez that the whales had reportedly become aggressive with one another and sometimes did not obey their trainer's commands. All park staff would tell Rodriguez when she arrived at the hospital was that her fiancé had drowned in an accident, and the park's president had reported to the hospital with legal representation by his side. Rodriguez was left in the dark about Martinez's fate until the autopsy results came back months later, revealing that the man had died in something that seemed far more vicious than the accident. Martinez's death was also kept from the public eye for some time. It wasn't until months later, when an orca named Tilikum killed trainer Don Prancho at SeaWorld Orlando, that the unwanted spotlight began shining on marine amusement parks and the encounters that tend to go wrong there between humans and killer whales. Many people believe that the answer to this problem is to end whale captivity altogether, a mentality reflected in the declining popularity in marine animal entertainment in certain countries. Meanwhile, China is buying more and more whales in order to keep up with its burgeoning marine park industry. Whether we will see the final days of whale captivity during our lifetimes remains unknown. Number 2. Jennifer Brown. While cleaning a cage belonging to two 18-month-old male lions at the Shoalhaven Zoo in Australia in May of 2020, an experienced 35-year-old zookeeper named Jennifer Brown was viciously attacked by the felines. She was horrifically injured, receiving lacerations and bites to her head and neck. Paramedics rushed Brown to the hospital in critical but stable condition, where she began a long road to recovery. The zoo stated that it was against protocol for a trainer to clean a cage without first separating the animals into another enclosure, and vowed to investigate the circumstances surrounding the gruesome attack. Meanwhile, it was decided that the lions would not be euthanized. Number 1. Pierre Stephan. Back in 2005, after finishing up a performance in Fort Wayne, Indiana, 40-year-old elephant trainer Pierre Stephan fell onto the floor of a trailer with the animals inside. What happened after was nothing short of a tragedy. Stephan was knocked unconscious, and 3 Asian elephants, each weighing more than 7,000 pounds, stomped him to death. His co-workers did not witness the incident, as they had left him alone to secure one last gate after loading the elephants into the trailer. Allen County Coroner John Brandenburger concluded that the man's death was a horrible accident, inciting a, quote, natural reaction from the elephants. Quote, once he's on the floor, animal trainers will tell you he is no longer the trainer, Brandenburger said. He's another object, as if he were a basketball or whatever thrown in among the elephant's feet. Stephan was declared dead at a nearby hospital. Brandenburg determined that the Tarzan Zerbini circus employee succumbed to blunt force trauma, causing fatal chest injuries. An elephant expert told the coroner that the pachyderms likely began stomping on Stephan out of curiosity rather than aggression, and that it's natural for the creatures to step on things they cannot see. Stephan worked with the 3 elephants for 18 years before that fatal day, according to Tarzan Zerbini circus general manager Larry Solheim. The incident caused the company to rethink its policy of allowing someone to finish loading the trailer alone, but some animal rights groups argued that this and previous tragedies were clear evidence that the circus industry needs to end altogether. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time on the Bored Badger.